Welcome back to the Bethany Sports Beat as we continue our preview of some of the spring sports here on the campus, and we'll be bringing in softball right now. We're going to Tatge to talk to us about the softball team, the program this year as they get set. Actually have a brief two-game stint up in St. Paul yet this week before they get to head down to Fort Myers, Florida. There is more than just the Minnesota Twins in Fort Myers, Florida. The Bethany softball team will be down there as well, and obviously a lot to look forward to weather-wise as you get down there. But the spring been fairly decent. You guys must be getting the itch to maybe even get outside here, maybe once before you have to head on the plane. I feel probably not ready, but how important is it for you? We talked baseball, and with Ryan Craig about that continuity, be able to come back from that spring trip and be able to get right back outside, I would imagine equally as important in softball as well.
Sure. Actually, this year and last year, it's looking like it's going to be really nice here while we're gone in Florida, which is all right, though, because that means hopefully our field is drying out, and once we get back, we get on it because there's a lot of stuff that's hard to practice in the gym when you don't have the dimensions. So as soon as we get outside, we get some of that extra practice in, and we're looking forward to that.
And you also have some games in the dome. Is it tough on the players to move from your outdoor in Florida and then you come back maybe in the gym and then you have to go inside a dome up in the Twin Cities? Continuity can be so important. What is it like as a coach to try to make that adjustment and find that common ground?
I almost think the hardest one is when we've been in the gym for, a couple months here, and then they try to go from that hardwood and they go outside, and that's a very different feel. But it's just something they got to get used to, and we're not the only team that deals with it, and that's what I try to remind them, is everyone's on the same even playing field as far as switching from turf to hardwood in the gym, back to the dirt, back and forth. So everyone's got to do it. We just got to kind of mentally get over it.
All right, so you get down to Florida for about 8 games down there, a lot of double headers, a lot of time in the sun. Does that kind of, just the adjustment, not only to outdoors, but the heat, a little bit, the humidity, what is that transition like? What's that been like for you in the past?
We've got a packed schedule coming up. Like you mentioned, going to McAllister, and then a couple of days later we'll fly out, and then as soon as we get back, we've also got a tournament that we're playing in the Cobber Classic. So it's going to be a lot of games in a row, and a lot of games in the heat, which girls aren't used to. So it's a lot of sending them to bed early and making sure that they're hydrated and eating well and all of those things just to kind of keep them healthy.
Is the biggest concern with all those games kind of brought it up with the double headers, kind of the pitching in the arms and not wearing anybody down early on?
We've got a number of girls who are already struggling a little bit with just, injuries that have plagued them through the years. So we just got to keep an eye on them, make sure we're not overdoing it in practice, but getting them enough. And we've really been working on our fitness and getting them to workouts and such like that, leading up to the games. I think that's been a big help.
Team this year, as far as the preseason polls go in the conference, looking at a 5th place spot, at least as far as what the coaches would anticipate. Where does that set with you? Is that kind of where you thought you'd be penciled in at? Or?
The UMAC's kind of at least for softball. Every year, Northwestern has a good team, Schlassa has a good team, Morris has a good team. We always know that they're going to come in with some really good teams. Historically, they've been up there pretty much every year. And then with the addition of Superior this year, then we'll see what happens, of course, but they've got the numbers. I'm sure they're going to do fairly well. So coming in right after them, I'm okay with it. I think we can do better than 5th, but I wasn't too surprised when I saw that's where we were at.
As you look at your roster, obviously the one name that jumps off early on is Anna Pippenhagen after such an impressive freshman campaign with the number of strikeouts and things like that. It's pretty nice to know that for a lot of the big games you're going to have a player of her caliber that you can be able to send out to the mound. And what does she mean to this team?
I think that the girls play very relaxed behind her because they have a lot of faith in her. She's obviously done a great job. And so to have her back now for her sophomore year, everyone's got another year under their belt, and so I think it's going to be even more of a relaxed sense of play, and that's what you need in softball is confident play out there.
And last year's team was a very young team. I know another name that got some postseason honors, Cindy Polachek from last year. Those are players that do have the year under their belt, and so the expectations have. How are they comfortable in terms of, you're not the freshman anymore, you know what to expect, you've seen the teams in the conference, have they taken on that mantle a little bit, or do you sense what kind of confidence are you seeing?
I think it's a new team this year. Last year, a lot of it was new to them. We were doing a lot more teaching this year. It's a lot of, they're in there, they know what they're doing. We're just brushing up on skills and such like that. And I think it's going to make a big difference. We had a lot of very close games last year that a little bit more experience maybe would have made a difference. So I'm hoping this year it makes a difference.
I was going to ask you about UMAC, but you kind of mentioned the teams. It's the Morrises, it's the Superiors now, Northwestern, Scholastica. Boy, in a game where the number of close games you have, that one error, that one run, that one missed bunt, it can come down to that time.
Absolutely.
preparing for that, where you know those games, especially when you have a pitching core that starts with Anna and have some people behind her, you're pretty much going to be in every game. So how important is it for you with these early season games to try to deal with all of those small aspects of softball that can really be magnified later on in conference season?
You know, I think that's been our biggest focus so far, is mentally being into it every single time, that we're not making those little errors that cost us the game. We had 12, 13 one-run games last year. Some we came out ahead, some we came out behind, but it did come down to some, little things here or there that we could maybe fix to get it better. And so we've been talking to the girls quite a bit about how every play counts.
All right. Every play does count. And again, it starts for the Vikings here in a couple days, and then their trip down to Fort Myers, Florida next week. And make sure you keep coming back to blcvikings.com. Keep track of the progress of all of our teams throughout the spring season. Renee Tatge and Don Westfall here talking softball on the Bethany Sports Beat.